Another way Jerry resolved the crisis that he was in early adulthood is he became a very resilient individual. This was able for him to achieve a very good quality of life, actually. If you would have seen him, I mean, he looks great. He's very distinguished. I mean, it's very interesting. A lot of his resilience is, and we didn't actually discuss his resilience. I just came up with this. I mean, his two disabilities that he has, his dyslexia and his lack of facial recognition, and this being portrayed to a lot of people as him being stupid or even uneducated, which isn't true. So this was somewhat of a form of oppression, but his resilience got him through it. I think a lot of that did develop during early adulthood, um, and was coupled by his education, which created a better social environment for him. And then he slowly progressed out of his social awkwardness. He learned about his disabilities and he understood it, and he did learn to adapt um, within his environments. From a multi-systems lens, the two primary things that I see um, were his family and his education were the biggest factors. Um, these did really influence his life from a very early age. His being raised in a rural town in the middle of nowhere, as he put it, did cause him being social awkward. That caused him to be very inhibited about education. Um, Due to that, and then him being dyslexic, again being called stupid by peers and teachers. Um, if Jerry wasn't so resilient and actually was educated enough to grasp his two disabilities and the impact it had on him, he would not have had, he says, the quality of life that he does now. He's actually very happy with his life right now. When I asked him his biggest achievement um, in society or his contribution to society, um, he didn't stop to even think. His first words were his family and his kids. Um, he takes great pride in his family. Um, a lot of it is based on education. Um, and a few sentences into him talking about his family, he did start to cry, which then I started to cry. And it was very touching. I mean, he just, yeah, his greatest contribution, you know, wasn't what he's done throughout his life. He was a teacher, he was an educator. Um, but yeah, it was strictly all his family and really his kids and how all of them have gone to school. It's a very educational based family. It's very interesting. They've all got college degrees all the way from bachelor's to PhDs. Most of his immediate children have children now, and they have just finished school or starting school. So I think that environment, the environment of school, I think he really values for what it actually did for him, which leads me to um, an additional theory that I thought of, and I'm really big on this one, is the ecological theory. Me personally, I think everything um, is influenced. Everybody's development, for the most part, is influenced by their or not education, but their environment. Um, I simply put this is, and I explain it to some people as, um, a baby is born, and I'm sure we've all heard this. A baby is born with a blank slate. Um, they don't understand their culture, their ethnic, the language that goes by or that comes with it. So what you see over time is a product of their environment. I mean, Hispanics, that culture learns to speak, Spanish, where if that same individual is born in the US, they're going to be, taught to speak English because that's our environment. So I'm a big, um, I really believe in the ecological theory. I've been able to look through it in my own personal life, the way I was raised, and now at my age, being 52, I've been able to reflect back on how my environment influenced where I was until about 7 years ago. So, and now my environment's totally changed, and it's a lot more of a successful environment. Um, the only limitation that actually I discovered, because I never really looked into the limitations of the ecological theory, I didn't think I guess there would be much. Um, but due to Jerry's two disabilities and reading through all of Erickson's, um, what he's written in his philosophy and by other authors and whatnot, nowhere does it ever mention how an individual with a disability would actually progress through these life stages, or if they even could. Um, Jerry being dyslexic and not being able to recognize facial features, that is all played out in an environmental fact, in the environment. So I was thinking, if it's someone has um, is incapable of recognizing facial features, that's going to disrupt that whole social environment based on a disability. And it's something that Erickson actually never discussed, and I found that very interesting. And it might be an area of study where how people with varying disabilities might be able to successfully get through his 8 stages, or where they might actually get stuck depending on the disability. So that actually I learned and never really thought about, and I think it's very fascinating. So that concludes my presentation. I want to thank everybody for listening. Like I said, Jerry was a great guy. I wish I could give you his name and the books that he's read. We've decided to actually keep in communications because he's got 2 research papers that he's working on that I showed interest in. They sound pretty fascinating, so I think we're gonna keep in touch and maybe do something like that. He says it would be what he said. One of the papers would be a great PhD dissertation, but maybe I can use it and adapt it to something else. Who knows? But anyways, here's my references. I've used all 4 from my annotated bibliography along with a few others and our textbook. So I hope I wasn't too boring. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.